hotel with 3,000 rooms that never had a single guest. The foundation for a grand new hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea's capital, was laid in 1987. The pyramid-shaped super-tall skyscraper was to be more than 1,000 feet tall, with at least 3,000 rooms and 5 revolving restaurants with panoramic views. The Ryugyong Hotel, named after Pyongyang's historical nickname, capital of willows, was supposed to open just 2 years later. But it never happened. While the structure reached its planned height in 1992, it remained windowless and hollow for another 16 years, its naked concrete exposed, like a menacing monster watching over the city. During that time, the building, which towers over everything around it, earned the moniker Hotel of Doom. Since then, the hotel has been clad in metal and glass, and it has been outfitted with LED lights to create a colorful nighttime spectacle. Construction work has been started and stopped numerous times, fueling constant speculation about whether it will ever be open to the public. The Ryugyong Hotel, which is still closed today, is the world's tallest unoccupied building. A pawn throughout the Cold War. The Ryugyong Hotel arose from the Cold War rivalry between US-backed South Korea and Soviet-backed North Korea. A South Korean firm had built the world's tallest hotel, the Westin Stamford in Singapore, a year before construction began. Meanwhile, the South Korean capital of Seoul was preparing to host the 1988 Summer Olympics as the country transitioned to a capitalist democracy. North Korea organized the 1989 World Festival of Youth and Students, a sort of socialist version of the Olympics, as part of its political response to the South's achievements. The country intended to construct the massive hotel just in time for the event, thereby stealing the world record from the South. However, due to engineering issues, it was not completed in time for the festival. The government had already invested billions in the event, including the construction of a new stadium, the expansion of Pyongyang's airport, and the construction of new roads. This put a strain on the fragile economy of the hermit state, while the collapse of the Soviet Union cut off vital aid and investment. North Korea was on the verge of a financial crisis. Despite the completion of the external structure, construction was halted in 1992, and a crane was abandoned on top of the building. A structure made of concrete. The architecture is made up of 3 wings, each sloped at a 75-degree angle and integrating into a cone encasing the top 15 floors, which will house restaurants and observation decks. The pyramidal shape isn't just for show. It's because the Ryugyong is made of reinforced concrete rather than steel, which is unusual for a skyscraper. It was built this way because the top floors needed to be lighter. Calvin Chua, a Singapore-based architect who has studied Pyongyang's urbanism extensively, explained over the phone. It was built entirely of concrete because they lacked advanced construction materials. This method cannot produce a slender tower. Instead, a massive base with a tapered top is required. If you look at the history of construction in North Korea since the Korean War's end, you'll notice that the majority of the buildings are made of concrete. That's the material they're familiar with, and technology transfer between Soviet or communist states is solely based on concrete. A second attempt. Construction surprisingly resumed in 2008 as part of a deal with Orascom, an Egyptian conglomerate hired to build North Korea's 3G network after a 16-year hiatus. The rusted old crane perched atop the building for the past 2 decades was finally demolished. Workers assisted by Egyptian engineers installed glass and metal panels to the concrete structure at a cost of $180 million, glazing it completely and giving the building a polished, sleek appearance. The project, which was completed in 2011, added to the excitement surrounding the hotel's opening. Kempinski, the German luxury hotel group, announced in late 2012 that the Ryugyong would partially open under its management in mid-2013, but withdrew a few months later, citing market entry as not currently possible. Long-held rumors that the structure of the building was unsound due to poor construction techniques and materials resurfaced. According to North Korean state media, a 23-story apartment building in Pyongyang collapsed in 2014 due to improper construction. From the outside, the building appears structurally sound, Chua said, though the interior may be on a different story. I believe the real issue is the ease with which it can be fitted out, because it was built with concrete, and rewiring the necessary services and ventilation systems that were originally designed to 1980s specifications would take a long time. This would be much easier with a steel structure. Photographs of the hotel's interior from 2012 revealed there had been very little work done on the inside. Simon Cockerell, general manager of Koryo Group, a Beijing-based company that specializes in North Korean tours, and one of the few foreigners to have entered the Ryugyong Hotel, took the photos. "It was arranged through a Korean connection as a birthday gift for me," he said over the phone. "First and foremost, we heard from the site's director, who showed us old videos. Then they let us into the lobby, which was filled with exposed cement. Then we took the only working elevator to the 99th floor. It took a long time to get there, and it was a service elevator, not a modern elevator with a row of buttons. There was a lift operator who decided where the lift should stop. We climbed to the top, looked around, took some photos, and then returned to the lobby. The Ryugyong had been remodeled on the outside, but it remained closed." A more promising future? The Ryugyong reopened in 2018 after LEDs were installed on its facade, transforming it into Pyongyang's largest light show as well as a propaganda machine. A 4-minute program depicts North Korea's history as well as various political slogans, while the cone at the top displays a massive North Korean flag. It's really striking the first time you see it, especially after so many years of the building sitting there in darkness, Will Ripley, a CNN correspondent who has visited Pyongyang several times, said in an email. "I know they turn it on when there are major events in town, but it's not on all the time, I'm guessing to save scarce electricity." The question is whether or not this will ever be open. It's difficult to say, because you can't see inside, because the building is clad in glass, explained Cockerell. There's no denying that something is afoot. It's a huge structure. It's not impossible that some of it will open before the rest. If it were my building, I'd pay special attention to the top and bottom. The Ryugyong Hotel is no longer the tallest building on the Korean peninsula. The Lotte World Tower in Seoul, which opened in 2017, has surpassed it by nearly 800 feet, 240 meters. Despite the fact that Pyongyang has recently seen a surge in high-rise residential towers, the tallest of which is only 197 feet, 60 meters, shorter than the Ryugyong, it remains North Korea's tallest structure. For years, the North Korean government has airbrushed the building from official photos of Pyongyang to avoid embarrassment. The installation of LED lighting, on the other hand, may indicate that there is a plan for its future,